You're listening to Unclogging the Truth, your podcast for the ins and outs of the blue-collar industry of plumbing and the tea behind the scenes.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Unclogging the Truth. And today we have our Master Plumber, Johnny, on today again. We wanted to kind of talk about how we got the idea for this podcast and what you can expect. Who is it for? I don't know too many. You used to do a plumbing podcast, or weren't you a guest on the plumbing podcast?
I was.
You were a guest on the plumbing?
For an HVAC.
But I think when people think of plumbing podcasts, they're probably wondering why should we tune in? So,
well, it was a little idea I think that we had, just the inner workings of the company, conversations that we have had. We're we really do need to do a podcast because some of the stuff it's real life, the good, the bad, the ugly, relatable.
Well, we started talking about that, especially on Monday mornings and on Thursdays, that's the only time we're all together when the guys are in, and we'll all start talking about stuff, and we tend to build off of each other. And by the end of it, a lot of times we're all laughing. We even started calling it our therapy sessions.
Yeah, Monday is therapy session. It's because we've been gone the weekend, and then we get back together. Okay, I need to vent. You go. Who's going first? What is? And how we incorporated the plumbers is, sometimes we have our point of view, but we wanted to get the male perspective, and who better to get the male perspective from than the plumbers? So we would kind of drag them into our conversations.
Boy, do we get it.
And it was very helpful, very insightful, sometimes a little shocking.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that just gave us the idea, we should create a podcast around some of these topics. So today we have Johnny in here, and we're going to get you're going to be the male perspective today of some of our topics.
You saw that, right? She hit me.
Assault.
It's assault. Yeah.
Because Nicole has to get to the bottom of something.
I did.
Okay.
All right.
And this is what started it too. Y'all come in and y'all were talking about different things.
Actually, this is what started.
So you're a guy. So what would you think about this? What is he thinking when he's doing this to me?
Yes.
I don't know, y'all. I think y'all are overthinking it. Guys don't think that much about stuff. So.
Yeah, that was kind of helpful too. Though it's kind of like that movie. He's just not into you, when he tells her he's just not that into you, and then she's like, it just opens up a whole world for her. She's like, oh, and it just helps her in her dating world. She has this insight. You haven't seen it? You have to see it.
Oh gosh, when she brings the pen back to the bar, and she's like, he might need it.
He's like, no.
He's like, yeah.
So she has this guy. He's at the he's like a bartender, but she is. We all want to be the exception to the rule. So even if a guy's not calling us, or he might wait 3 days, and the girls will hype each other up no, he's going to call.
Or he said, hey,
gonna call.
What do you think that means?
Right. And we'll always be on the positive spin. But he was just blunt with her. He was like, he's just not that into you. She was like, no, maybe he was sick. He was like, no, if a guy after the date, if he wants to come up, he's coming up. If he's not coming up, he's just not that into you. She was like, and she kept trying to make excuses for it. He was like, he's just not that into you. And it kind of opened this whole world. She was like, he's just not that into me.
But I mean, with women, is it not true that if you go out with a guy and then he's calling you the next day, and he can't get in touch with you, does it behoove him to leave you alone or to try again? That's one of the things I've wondered, maybe from a woman's perspective. Say I went out with a girl, I thought it was a good date, and then I drop her off at home, I go home, I call and text the next day, and I get no response.
She's just not that into you.
Yeah, that's ghosting, but we like a little bit of a chase.
That's what I do too. I'm married now, Kristen. Back in the day.
Way back in the day.
But yeah, that was what I would do though. I mean, it'd be you got one call and you got one text, and if I don't hear from you, it's all right, well, cool. We had a good night out.
That you have that, because some guys do not get the hint. They will call and they will text, and they're literally.
Some women don't get it either.
That's true.
So.
Okay, so what we have talked about is men going the extra step.
This is thinking the extra thought. That is an impossible thing.
No. Listen,
think the extra thought.
Listen, Linda. Okay.
How does that make any sense? Think the extra thought. I only have one brain. I can't call in a dolphin and be like, hey, bro.
You
Any
can
extra
call a
thoughts on
friend.
this?
You can call a friend.
That is true.
Okay, so let's just say, hypothetically, okay, you're dating this guy, right? You're on a date.
So
Yeah.
I'm a guy dating
You're
a guy.
No, like a girl is dating a guy. I'm going to get your perspective. Let's say, okay, we're dating, and
This is based on a true story.
based on a true story. So you've been dating this guy for a few months, maybe 1 or 2 months, and now you're, at his house, and he is literally asking you, like, what your favorite things, snacks, whatever. Like, what are your favorite snacks, right? He specifically asks you what your favorite snacks are, right? Like,
Okay.
that, don't you think that's like a pointed question? Like, it's not like in general, it's like, what are your favorite snacks? Okay. So you tell this guy like what your favorite snacks are. Okay. So what if you are asking a female specific questions, is it your intention that you're going to do something about it or take action on it, or should I expect that? Like, if you're asking me, what is so funny? Just you get tickled off.
I know how the story ends.
Well, let me just tell the whole story. Okay, so
Well,
You want me to answer?
I do.
or
I
you
want
want-
to hear the
Okay,
answer.
Okay, look. Okay, I don't know who this guy is. And I don't know if it's like something that's wrong with me, but I don't really ask these kinds of questions. Like, and I wouldn't like to be asked these kinds of questions. Like, well, I don't even know what my favorite snack is.
but if
Like, I
if
don't
someone
know.
is asking
like,
you,
like, what is your favorite color? Like, I don't know. I'm honestly, do you have a favorite color?
If you were
I mean, I
not
guess
married and you were
I'll bring you-
dating and you were asking a female a specific question on what snack she likes, what would be your reasoning behind that?
I really don't know. I
well,
mean,
okay.
unless it is to surprise you with this snack or something, or to make sure I have it at my house in case
Yes,
you come over,
this is what we're
or
trying to
something
get.
like that. But I mean, that's the only
That's
that's the only logic I can see
Exactly.
behind it.
Exactly. Okay, so
but-
you have proven the point already.
Okay.
If someone is asking you specific questions about what
So
you
you like
like,
chocolate chip cookies? I'm never buying this for you. Like, I don't. What do you?
and they're specifically asking you, is it wrong that the next time I go over there, I'm expecting you to have these snacks that you specifically asked me about? I'm not even going to ask you if you have them. I just go into the pantry because I'm so sure that you have them there because you specifically asked me about it. I'm going in the pantry to look for them, and they're not there.
Okay, I feel like you
And you
messed
noticed
up.
that.
I feel like you messed up when he asked you what your favorite snack was.
Well, why would he be asking that?
I
if
don't
he
know
wasn't-
because I personally don't do that. But then I thought, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. This is why you don't do that because then
But
you
you
forget to
even-
buy the cookies and then or the Twizzlers or whatever.
But you
it was.
even said that if you ask that question, the reason you would be asking is to surprise or have it on hand, and that's
I do.
exactly what
I don't see what
I thought.
I don't see
I
a reason
mean,
behind it.
that's exactly what this person thought.
So she goes into the pantry, right?
And he's like, "What are you looking for?" I'm like, "I'm looking for the specific snack that you asked me about. Did I like?" And it's not there. It's not like nothing's there. And I just kind of stand there like, "Oh, did I misread this wrong, incorrectly?" And so then I come, so that kind of started us with this conversation. So when I came back and I'm asking Tristan, like, how would you take this? Like, if a guy asked you this, what would you be expecting? She expected the same thing I expected.
But I would have been embarrassed to go into the pantry. I wouldn't have gone to the...
That's how sure I was, because why would you ask me?
Well, yeah, like he must. What were you looking? I mean, what validation were you seeking though? Like if the cookies had been there, or whatever it was. I keep saying cookies.
That
Do you
extra
saying you want
thought.
Extra
That
thought.
extra
If he
thought.
wanted to, he would.
So, but I'm saying in your head, if you had seen this glorious snack in his pantry, would you have known then he was marriage material? And like
No.
before
I
that,
would've
though,
just
you were still on the
known-
fence, but once you saw the snack, it's
I
like,
would have
okay,
known
this
that
is
he
the
was
guy
a
that I need to be
considerate
with.
guy. I would have known that he took me into consideration because you're asking me about my favorite snack. And if I had seen those cookies, he would have gotten the cookies. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta tell you, I do think that he was, if he was asking it, that I think he intended to do it,
No.
but then he might have squirreled out.
He
So-
did not.
so
So
we
we
did
not tell a little bit more of the
Right.
story.
So we've been on Cookie Watch for a couple of weeks now, and so like it's like
Oh, so this has become like a thing.
Yes. No, and still right now in this in this moment. I still don't know
Wow.
cookies. But when she was first
So
telling
do y'all
the
have like
story,
a log of how many days? Do you have? Is there a betting pool that I can get in on? Like, okay. And when they're gonna arrive, like we can. I'll put $5 on it right now. Gabe, you in on those?
the first time she
Talking to
told me
G-Man,
the
okay.
story, it was already 2 weeks deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was
So you've
like,
been waiting on a snack for 2 weeks?
it's been
Oh,
longer
it's
than
been
2
like 3
weeks
months now.
Okay, but
Take the extra thought, and there's stores that sell it, and go get it, and then put it in the pantry.
I should do that?
That just see what he does.
Okay, it could be like that TikTok where like your man is not romantic, so you buy the flowers and give it to him.
Oh
and then
yeah,
open
you
the
make them
door.
like yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you're like, put the cookies in, like, oh, you got me the cookies.
I gotta tell you, I think women, I love women to death. Like you were saying earlier, picture me dating a guy. I couldn't imagine dating a guy, so I can't picture that. But I do think that women hint around and hint. And
No,
hint
we
and
don't.
hint and
Well,
hint
I
and
don't
hint.
think so.
And it's like, oh, he's not taking the hint. He must not like me, or he's just being an a-hole or something like that. And us men are like, we don't even get it. We don't understand that, like, you
And
are
there
really,
lies
really
the problem.
We don't even
There
see
lies the issue.
we don't even know that there's a hint. We don't even realize there's nothing wrong. We don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden,
We're
there's
mad.
this basket case of emotions, and the stuff comes out over like nothing all of a sudden.
But not
And it's like,
nothing.
no, it's not nothing, but it's something else. It's like
not
the
nothing to
boiling point.
us.
No, the boiling point, though, what makes it erupt is something else. Then you have to have an argument for a little while, or a heated discussion, or therapy,
Heated
whatever.
debates.
And then it comes out that, oh, this was actually the source of the issue. And then this other thing reminded you of it, and you finally had enough. And
So what if, okay, so you're not taking the hit. You're
Am I
saying
wrong?
like, yes, you're wrong.
okay, all right.
So you're saying like,
Because I mean, that's just my point of view on it, and a little bit.
that's your male perspective on it.
Well, from what I'm hearing, but
And it's not that we expect you to be mind readers, but sometimes we don't want to have to tell you everything.
Right.
We want you to pick up on some clues.
Take the initiative.
But this wasn't even a clue. Like, you specifically asked me this. So this is what I don't understand. Like, I didn't even try to hit. Like, you asked me specifically what my favorite snack was. What was the point? Like, are we having general conversation about what's your favorite color? What you like to order, your hobbies? No. We were actually in the kitchen. Oh, that's so good. We were talking about, like, how he does provide things for his friends, and he likes to have their favorite things on there.
Oh,
like,
That
for
makes
them.
it worse.
And then that's when the question came up. What are your
Ouch.
favorite snacks? And so I'm like, totally like, oh, next week we're going to have these cookies in the pantry. And there was like nothing in the pantry. But, you know, since then I have gotten, you know, flowers, dates and stuff. But you know,
it's all insignificant compared to the fact that you're. So in your mind, you feel like you are not his friend because you don't have
the
snacks.
cookies.
The cookies. Just buy the
Your
cookies.
snacks.
He's had my cookies.
So he buys you flour, he takes you out on dates.
No, we're unclogging the truth here, you know? But you know what
And
this means, Johnny, right?
What does it mean?
Come Monday, we need to have some Chips Ahoy cookies and some Captain Crunch.
Chips
waiting
Ahoy
for us in
cookies,
office.
Chips Ahoy cookies, and
I
Captain
think this
Crunch.
is, yeah.
All right. Hey, so I don't forget about it because I'm a guy.
Yes.
Will you please go get that for me?
Yes, I will.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so in light of this, okay, like I know, guys, you're not mind readers. Sometimes you don't take the extra step. Okay, do we always have to come to you directly and say, like, okay, Valentine's Day or birthday or anniversary coming up? Do we have to like specifically tell you what we want for those days? Would you appreciate that, or should we just wait and see what you?
I would very much appreciate that.
Okay. Okay.
Now, and listen, here's something that like I've been advised to do. Tried this a couple of times, and it's all right. You've seen a lot of these things on Facebook where a guy asks a woman, "What does she want to eat?" and she says, "I don't care."
Well, you'll never have that problem with me.
I don't care.
I always
Like, well, what
know.
about
I
if
know
we-
it's on the menu. I have already picked out my
Good.
meal.
You're a unicorn. Like most times it's like I don't care, and then you like say you can suggest Taco Bell. Like, what about Taco Bell? Well, no, I don't want to eat Taco Bell. Like, well, what about we go to Applebee's? We had Applebee's like last week though. Well, what about Captain D's? Well, I mean, I don't really want to feel like seafood tonight. And then so a guy will go down a list of like 30 different options before finally we find the one that you were thinking about that like it's
Because you're doing it wrong. That's
well,
you're
no,
asking the wrong
actually, what I've
question.
heard, and this is something too. It's like, hey, you know where I'm thinking about going tonight? Guess.
That's right.
And then,
Whatever she
the
says.
woman, whatever she says, like, you are exactly right.
That's exactly where
That's
I was
where I was planning on taking you.
I say you're asking it the wrong way. Okay, so after she tells you her, like, let's say, okay, where do you want to go eat? Or what was that?
I have a question.
What?
I want to know if you, from a male perspective, if you agree with if he wanted to, he would.
Do y'all even know about that?
All right. Well, personally, and this is something.
Johnny's like, I'm in the hot seat. How did I get here?
No, you know that I mean, I am a business owner, and I'm saying this with I'm not like wanting to put myself on any kind of different like a level than just like a regular playing field. But for me, like I do work like 100 hours a week. Like if I'm not like actually on the wrenches, like I'm working with marketing, I'm working with like talking to the team, thinking about things that I need to do. Even the spots that I hang out after hours are usually with people that are clients or that I want to have become clients. So for me, building a company, I've really sold off being like a normal 9 to 5 person. So when you ask me about that, like if he wanted to, he would. Well, that's for somebody that has a lot of time. Like honestly, if somebody has a lot of time,
You make time for what you want to make time for.
Right? Well, that is true, but you also sometimes you have to. I mean, Kristen and I have had a conversation before. She's like, she says she knows that I'd never be cheating on her, and I'm like, well, yeah, I hardly have time for you. I know it's not fair for you, but I hardly have time for you. So for me, I do try to make time for my wife, but it is a balance. And when you see what other people do in the evenings and stuff, where it's like, okay, you get off, you get the kids, you'll go watch baseball games together. You have favorite sitcoms that you watch at night. You have time in the evenings to go and do things like every evening. Like we don't have that. She's usually with me wherever I'm at doing marketing or things like that, but she's wanting to be with me. So that's how we end up having time together. Like she comes in on Saturdays and runs like water pipes and digs ditches and pumps stuff out and works.
That's her way. Like if she wanted,
well, she wants to spend time with me on Saturday.
Time with you.
So she comes in on whenever I work Saturdays, and I work a lot of Saturdays. You know that. I've gotten out of working Sundays because I do like spending that day with her and with the children. But on Saturdays, there's some Saturdays where I'm going to clients' homes, and it is a little. I don't know. For me, it seems like it's not professional to show up at a customer's house and be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm Johnny, and here's my wife. She's going to be with me today in your house." Now, that could just be me. I don't know what you think about that, but it does seem like it hurt. Well, it seems like it hurts her feelings. She's like, well, why? What's changed? You usually like let me go with you on Saturdays. I'm like, well, I'm going in like just like professionalism, like going into it.
Like when it's happened before, and then like, well, no, you can't come this time. It's like, why not? Like,
it might be like a construction site or like an apartment complex or something like that.
And I can understand if it's like a liability issue, like, hey, like just not this time. Like explain it like that. Like it's nothing against you. This is just company, a liability issue. I can understand that, but you have to make it make sense to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I see both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to make it make sense, and then I'll be like, okay, I can get that.
Well, and we did have that conversation. And I didn't understand it at first but it was another thing with kind of like the hinting around, like, well, you noticed something was different, but I'm just like, hey, like, yeah.
In your mind, it was just like, hey, we're doing it this way today. But she interpreted a whole different way, which is kind of what we do.
Yeah, from Mars to Venus. Yep.
But okay, so you're throwing hints. Okay, you figure out her favorite restaurant. The next time, this is where we're talking about the extra thought. The next time this happens, this is what we expect. Okay, we've hinted. By this time, you know what we like. We've obviously had conversations where, like, this is what I do, okay? I have a whole, like, in my phone, when the person that I'm with says something that they like, I'm making a note of it. Like, okay, favorite restaurant, this. So that if a time arises that, like, oh, okay, we're going to go out to dinner, I know this is his favorite restaurant, I'm going to make reservations. That's how, I do. And I don't know if guys just don't do that. They don't think like, let me make a note of this for next time. It just feels like we're constantly it's not that we mind telling you stuff, but we don't want to always have to. At some point, we want you to pick up the ball and run with it, okay? Yeah. That's what we're saying, like the extra thought. Like, just don't stop at this day. Oh, I'm good now. She told me where she wants to eat. We went and ate there. I'm done. Make a note of that, okay? We ate here. Even like she ordered this, she got this, so that next time she would be so impressed of like, you made these reservations, order her favorite meal before she got there, you would get the cookies.
That's funny. Are you worthy of the cookies?
Worthy of the cookies.
You're gonna have Johnny carrying around like a notebook now. Like
it's gonna be on the spot like, hold that thought. Wait a minute.
That's actually what I was going to say. Yeah, I just put
put in your phone.
Put that in now. It's called Pro here. That way I'll see that because I don't ever look at my other calendar. Yeah.
So, do you have an example of like a way that you feel that you have paid attention to what she wanted and gone that extra mile and it wasn't appreciated, and you're just like, well, I thought I was doing something great, and you're like kind of confused, like, why did she appreciate that?
Actually, I'm still a newlywed.
You're not there yet.
I'm not. I do feel like she's very appreciative, like and makes it a point to show how appreciative she is.
So
I mean, like, yeah, over and over and over again about like anything that like I've done with her, done for her. I mean, and she moved here from Hartselle. I mean, she's worked in Huntsville, but she hardly knew like really anybody around town, and she really has just ingrained herself like immediately, like where she met like the places that I had already been hanging out. Like I talked a lot with the men, but not with the women, and now she's like just in with the women. So it's she's done really, really well. Like
it's kind of like the military. Like when as soon as you move, you have to make friends like right away. Like, hi, I wish you now like you. I like you like me. I'm gonna put you in my emergency contact now. Here we go. But she's kind of integrated herself into your life. Well, that's good. Well, thank you, Johnny, for that male perspective on that. You provided a lot of insight, which the plumbers normally do. It's very interesting to have their different perspectives. Because that's the whole point of this podcast. We have so many different diverse backgrounds. So even running behind the scenes, sometimes you can't help but get to know people's personal lives. And we've been there for each other through good and bad times. Last year I lost my mother, and it was just a bad time for me. And y'all were so very helpful and instrumental in that. So if you have any interesting ideas that you want to shoot us, that you would like to hear about, kind of like behind the scenes, you can email us. But that's pretty much what you can expect. And we feel like we have something for everyone on this podcast. So we'll be talking about behind the scenes. Sometimes Johnny will give us tips, especially if we here in North Alabama when we have our bad weather. What is coming up? Like tornado season is coming up.
Yep. We have another freeze, I think, too.
We have another freeze that they're hinting at. So if you didn't make it through that last freeze without any busted pipes or anything, you definitely want to give any plumbing a call to have them come out and do some kind of preventative maintenance. Let's see, what else can they expect, Johnny? What do you think as far as in the plumbing world?
Well, and I mean, you guys are the hosts. Like I'm glad to be the guest a lot here early on. But I mean, you could even bring in like the guys on here and ask them for tips and tricks. Yeah. Really, honestly, this podcast can go a lot of different ways. I don't want to put ourselves in a box or put you guys in a box, but we can have, if you want to, if the audience wants to email in questions about plumbing, by all means do that. Or it could be like an open forum where you ask for relationship advice. That could be a pretty funny thing, like Nicole just did. So my boyfriend is doing this.
Ask a
Can you
plumber.
ask the plumbers what their take is on this? Is he into me or not?
That's kinda like, what was that
That could be like a section. Is he into me or not? And we can
what was
read
that thing in the paper that you used to write in and ask?
Like an advice column?
No, it was a lady, like a specific lady people used to write into.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Anyway.
Well, we have several guest speakers lined up to talk about different trades.
But I like that. Ask a plumber for advice. We'll have them on, and then you can pick your favorite plumber to ask advice to. I can only imagine who would give the funniest
It's
most
definite-
useless advice.
No, the funniest is definitely going to be Kevin. Kevin will have me belly laughing. Like,
Just for him being himself, not even like doing anything. He doesn't even realize he's like super funny. But yes, send us in your questions and let us know what you like, what we can add. If you want to see Trista more out in the field, like we're gonna post some pictures of her under the houses and stuff. If you want to see her out in the field, I think that would be a great segment too. Not I, but you know.
you're not going to dive up underneath the house?
I don't think so.
That was so funny that day because Jake was like, she just went into the crawl space. And I was like, yeah, that's Trista. He's like, she just went into the crawl space. I'm like, yeah, I know. She did. And
I will say we actually talked about this
overall,
yesterday. Because I'm a visual person, and Nicole always makes fun of me.
She always has to see a picture.
I know I'm not the only one though, and this is across the board. If she's talking about a human, I need to see a picture. If she took a picture in TJ Maxx the other day of like a mirror, she had a story.
Because I had a story and I knew she was gonna ask me about it. It's almost like she cannot visualize what I'm talking about until she sees the picture. So I'm in TJ Maxx taking a picture of everything I'm talking about so I can show her later.
But the same goes with like the guys. I can better like understand what they're telling me. Like if they run into like a roadblock somewhere or an issue somewhere, I can better understand it if I've been on site and I can see what they're talking about. So I actually prefer to go on site and check out their jobs. So whenever there is an issue, you know, I can do my job better.
I can only imagine it's some interesting things.
And it is.
See on site. Like what's the weirdest thing? Safely, like without mentioning anybody that you can say was crazy when you got on site.
what's the weirdest thing?
Weirdest?
Well, the other day we found a slingshot in a drain. Like, how did that get there?
A slingshot. Like this.
Yeah, like a
Wait, no, I'm thinking a slinky.
No, a slingshot, like something to like.
It was in like a sink drain?
It was in the main drain, lodged in the tap, like for the main sewer.
You'd be amazed what can fit in those like drains. We pulled out Plano. We've pulled out.
There's one recurring call that we have to keep going to, where there's gloves and like rubber gloves, like massive amounts of rubber gloves, and we continuously have to go over there, and we even use the camera to make sure we got all of them, and then it'll be like the next week we got to go get all these rubber gloves back out of it again, and they're asking us like, did you not get them all out the first time? I'm like, no, look, like somebody is got a fetish for flushing rubber gloves. Like, and they get all stuck together and then all the stuff. So, I mean, like, there's just massive gobs of rubber gloves. So that's like an odd one.
So this is like at a house or an apartment. In my mind, I'm trying to figure like, what was he using these gloves for? He always had to like flush them.
You're trying to picture it.
I'm trying to picture it. Oh, okay. You made your point. You're trying to picture it. Johnny, show me a picture of the gloves.
Well, the other, I don't know, like people put out signs like it's not just a single unit, like it's a multi-unit place, and they'll put out signs and talk with the people, and of course everybody says they didn't do it.
Of course. Like little kids.
Like the two things that we pull out of drains the most are flushable wipes. They're not flushable. That's flushable wipes are like the greatest thing that ever happened to
You heard it from the plumber. Don't get them. Don't flush them.
They build up. They don't break down fast enough to where they get all caked up, and they're supposed to break down. But they really just get like a big glue ball in it that everything sticks to. And then the other thing is tampons. And it's funny how often like people are so off put by talking about feminine hygiene products, especially like a guy. Like it's really funny when I'll like, if I say to like the woman is the boss of like say a restaurant or something, and it's like, well, what was blocking it up? And I actually have no problem with telling them it was tampons, but I've started like throughout my career, I've changed it up because no woman will ever in my 20-year career, as if everybody has always told me the truth, no woman has ever flushed a tampon ever in their life.
Ever.
Nobody has. No, none of them have ever done it.
Never.
I don't know where that came from. Like, I don't even use those.
It's an urban
Like, you're the only person in here, and yeah, you go. That's you. It was you. I know it was you. That's something Kevin will talk about too. Whenever there's something weird in a drain, like there's this huge dragon egg one time that like rolled out, and it like the cable didn't even like break it, and it rolled down into the manhole, and that was the blockage. It was a turd, but it was like hardened. It looked like a dragon egg we took pictures of it and stuff. But then Kevin, this was in an apartment complex, and Kevin was like, "All right, well, we know it had to come from that building."
So now you're walking.
He's like, "I want to look him in the eye and wonder who dropped that egg." But who's in there?
It was you.
It was you, wasn't it? You're the one doing that. But no, with the tampons, it always happens that way. And we call them sewer mice. And you can show pictures of this, like, because they look like mice.
They do.
Because the sewer snake, when it grabs them, it actually grabs the tail, and then it sort of chews up the actual part of it some. So it's like stringy, like looks like there's legs on it. And then, of course, it's either gray.
Want to see a visual?
It's either gray or
I've seen
brown when
plenty
you
of
pull it out.
visuals.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have
The group
stacks
chat.
of them. I'll pull it out and pull out the sewer snake, and they'll just be hanging from it, like 50 of them.
Yeah, I think.
And then but I do tell the people, like, oh yeah, well, it's sewer mice. And I'm like, well, what is that? How do we get rid of them? And I'm like, well, I think they run up from the sewers because nobody flushes them. They're just in the sewer mains and they run up. Like, well, what do we do about it? I'm like, well, once a month you need to like spray for them and put out some traps. And then I do this to people and mess with them. I'll pull out, and it's like a tampon receptacle that you can put like inside of your inside the stall. So I'll do that, and it's usually like I do that to a woman manager or whatever, because then she starts laughing about it, and I show her the pictures, and then she can look in and realize that those are tampons. Like somebody's flushing tampons still.
I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was talking about like, what do you do when a service person is in your house? Like, where do you wait for them? Like, do you stand by them? Do you wait in the kitchen? Like, it was just like an awkward thing. He was like, I'm in my house, and it was a plumber. He's like, a plumber's here. I don't know what to do. Like, where do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Do you like, if I'm just standing there, do you like people to stand there and watch you?
No.
it doesn't bother me. I actually tell the customers, like, you're paying for the show, and you can get over here. No, I mean, if they're asking me what I'm doing, like, I don't know, there's a lot of people, some people that I've worked for who have said, like, they don't want the customer to know what they're doing because then next time they won't call you. On the contrary, for me, it's like, hey, yeah, I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. And then, maybe the next time it's not going to be that problem because I just fixed that. It can be something else. Right. And then I'll show them if they want to be over there with me. I'll talk to them and tell them everything that I'm doing. And they're interested. It's like a little live action course for them.
So I'm always like, just like keeping an eye out for the person in my house. Like, I'm not standing there right next to them, but I'm kind of like peeking in. But it is awkward. You're like, I don't want to like leave in case they need me, but I don't know if they look
Like per usual. I like to just stay out of their way, come in, get done whatever you need to get done.
For me personally, it's weird that I actually don't. It doesn't. I mean, I do it. I've gotten used to it like throughout my career, but I don't like going into an occupied residence when nobody's there. Like, I really don't. But it's a common thing in the industry to do that. But I feel like if that person isn't like an upstanding human being, like they could like accuse me of taking like diamond rings that weren't there.
They're just gonna start wearing a body camera just to
No,
go on service call.
I'm serious. Like, and I've never heard of this happening before or anything like that. But I do prefer the person to be in the residence with me. But there's a lot of places
people have
where you
cameras, because I have like in my house like 3 cameras in my house. So if someone was to come in there, I will let them know I have cameras in the house. Like, just be aware. Some people don't, like when you were doing your open house and you said it was just like cameras, but that's why a lot of people don't mind if you're, if you go in there while they're not home. But I see where you would be worried. Like, if something came up missing and you were there and you didn't have proof on your own.
Yeah, it could have been that they put it up somewhere. And
it would definitely be me. I'd be like,
I worry about that for the guys, like being falsely accused of something. But I kind of got off. I'm gonna change subjects here a little bit, but it's the diamond ring thing. It reminded me of something earlier in my career. One of the most amazing calls I've ever gone on, or unique calls, was there was a 3-carat diamond ring that was a family heirloom, and the wife was cleaning this diamond ring, and it was actually her mother-in-law's ring that had been pat. Yeah, she had it in a shot glass in the window with ammonia in it to clean it. And then the mother-in-law, who is older and now lives with them, this has been passed, passed out. She was doing the dishes and had the garbage disposal running, and grabbed that and threw it down into the garbage disposal.
No.
And the gold actually bound the garbage disposal up, and so it stopped, and she immediately like quit running the water and all that and called us. And they were hoping that it was in the trap. Like, we couldn't find that main 3-carat diamond. We found just about all the center set stones, and then of course we got the mangled up gold, but we couldn't find the main center diamond. So we went into her wall, and she had cast iron pipes. And they're older pipes, and cast iron rusts, and it also has there's buildup, like sticky buildup from soaps. And if you have a garbage disposal, like those food particles get stuck in there. And we went in and took this section of pipe, the horizontal section of pipe, out, the entire thing, and then took it outside and got her kitchen strainers. And we filled that thing up with water and sloshed it back and forth, and we're dumping it into our strainers. And we did that. I mean, we did that like 12 or 13 times. And the mother-in-law is feeling like completely demoralized. She's crying the whole time. The wife is trying to comfort her, and at the same time wanting that 3-carat ring or 3-carat diamond. And it eventually came out. Like, that 3-carat diamond eventually came out of in that strainer. And we picked it up, and the guy I was there working with went over there and knocked on the door, and she came, and she was like, "Is it bad news?" He said, "No, we found it." And that lady almost tackled him. She was so happy, and then it kind of went around town. The story went around town that we had found this diamond. And it was a pretty cool call. But I think of all the things, that was my most unique call in my career, and it was very rewarding because it was a family heirloom. They wanted that 3-carat diamond, and we got it.
Look at Johnny, the superhero, right? Super Johnny. Well, that's a good place to end our podcast today, with a happy story of Johnny saving states from being here.
Yeah, relationship advice, stories. What do y'all want? Tips and tricks.
Everything. Well, thank you, Johnny, again for joining us, and we'll have him back. Periodically we'll have him back, but we're your hosts, so if you want to email us at info@naplumbing.net, follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, right? Instagram. And we would look forward to having you respond and let us know your feedback. So thank you for another episode of Unclogging the Truth, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good day, y'all.
Bye.